Hi everybody, thought I'd just do a quick video today on a 6mm Bacchus miniatures mahdistarmy, part of a large selection of 6mm Sudanese Mahdist wars forces that I have put together over a number of years. These are the Mahdi. I'm going to show you a little bit more about these shortly. Just wanted to talk about some of the inspiration that I've taken when putting this project together. A couple of books first of all. Go Strong into the Desert by Lieutenant Colonel Mike Snook. Fabulous reference. Lots of great artwork, lots of detail, and lots of maps. He's visited various battles of the period, and a really useful reference anyone interested in the colonial period. And the second book is Blood on the Nile, which is actually a black powder supplement for the Sudanese campaign. And again, as with all black powder books, a fabulous array of pictures, of miniatures, beautifully painted, generally 28mm. I wanted to focus on my favourite scale, which is 6mm. But again, lots of inspiration in terms of helping you put your forces together, etc. as well. So that's books for reference. In terms of rules, we've played a number of rules at the club, including rules such as good dusting, which is a really clever, fast-paced set of rules. And also we've had another set which we've been playing for a long time. It's quite an old set now, and that is Battles of Empire by Chris Leach. Again, quite an old set of rules, focused on fast play, and again probably slightly larger scales, but we've been able to adapt that for our games. But we decided to, having put together a large Sudanese force, both Mahdi and British colonials, we decided to put a game on at the Other Partisan several years ago, trying to really kind of market the benefits of 6mm wargaming. It is a predominantly 28mm focused show when it comes to participation demonstration games, so we wanted to break the mold a little bit and demo some 6mm gaming for people. And for that I wrote my own house rule set, and generally speaking we now play that as opposed to the rules I've just detailed there. But they are a very good starting place. That and the two reference books should be able to give you enough information to put a good force together and start gaming. So let's have a look at the forces in a bit more detail. Okay, so what I did, I was conscious that with the Mahdi forces, they tended to be based on flags or rubs, the units. So you'll see what I did was put colour codes on the sides of my bases to represent the banner, the flag, the rub, etc. that those units were attached to, both the infantry and the mounted. So that makes it a lot easier for me when setting up a game to put the bases together for the appropriate units, and it doesn't actually interfere with the look of the game, because once you're front on to the troops, of course you don't really see that too much anyway. And the front and back edges of the bases are the same for all the units. So what are the units? So here we've got the bulk of the Arab infantry. As I say, these are 6mm Bacchus. Bacchus flags have been glued to the banners, to the standard bearers, should I say. And what I've done is gone for a mixed effect on the base, i.e. multiple numbers of figures, to give a feeling of irregularity in the troops. Of course, they tended to fight in kind of horde formations, and so I've tried to do that, and obviously that allows a lot of flexibility in terms of how you set up the bases. We've got some mounted officers, some Mahdist artillery, some different types of officers mounted on camels, but they are the main bulk of the Arabic infantry. And then we've got the Beja infantry. Excuse me if I've pronounced that incorrectly. These were the fanatical tribesmen of the Beja tribe, who carried the extremely long, deadly swords, very little armour, the odd shield, but they were most feared and respected by the British colonial troops. You did not want these guys getting in close amongst you. They were fanatical and they were deadly. Okay, we then move into some camel mounted Arabic mounted troops. So again, you can kind of see those are Bacchus. Again, very nice. I just realised I've got a cavalry base there mixed up with my GGs. That's actually an officer, again an officer mounted on a camel, as opposed to a camel unit. These are horse, mounted horse. And we've then got some more mounted horse at the back, officers with guns, and then we've got quite a famous unit or units of Mahdist riflemen. I think you would pronounce it Yihadia, but these guys were captured Egyptian soldiers or Sudanese soldiers who'd left their own units and absconded over to the Mahdist cause, and they were armed and used as skirmishers against the colonials. And we then come into the camels. So we do now have proper camels. So these are camel, again, mounted units. We've got some baggage, some more guns, and then we've got some skirmisher stands. Again, these guys would probably in a lot of cases be using captured equipment. I cannot claim to have put these beautiful buildings together. This was done by my brother in preparation for our game at Partisan. They're splendid, aren't they? Look really effective, and we've got lots of different terrain and scenery which we use in this game. In fact, I think on YouTube there is a video from the Partisan in question with some photographs and some images of the game when we spoke to Dan Falconbridge at Wargames Illustrated. So feel free to take a look at that. So that is the Mahdist 6mm army. And we're just going to talk very briefly about the paintwork and how I put these together in terms of basing. I've talked a bit about the colours of some of the bases, but what I want to do is just focus on someone maybe who hasn't painted before, how I've done that myself. So let's just have a little look here at some of the units a little bit more closely. Okay, so you'll see there, when you look at them close up, as is typical with 6mm, they don't look as good as they do when you have them further away. And so a lot of people use this rule, the 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot rule, where you're looking down on a table, mass battles, and you do not need to be looking at the figures close up. So it's a straightforward undercoat or wash in black or grey, picking out the key details on the figures in reasonably bright colours, otherwise they do get lost on a 6mm figure. Maybe a wash over the top. I normally use a nut brown wash, And then in terms of 6mm for me, as is with the smaller scales on my other videos, it's all about the basing. And I use the 6mm backers basing system. So we basically we do the wash on the base, get the base all painted in the same colour first, PVA glue, basing mix, let that dry, and then we use the 3 sandy colours to build up the highlights on the base, which is now a sort of chocolate brown, and then you get these deserty colours on top. And then I sprinkle on fine amounts of the grass, not too much in this case, and then it's tufts. And there's various sizes of tufts, 2, 4, 6mm. I tend to use 4mm for 6mm figures, particularly in this case because there was a lot of bush on the terrain in the countryside in this area. So for me, those light sort of tufts, different coloured tufts, add a lot of texture to the bases, and I think they look okay. You know, I don't claim to be a great painter. My troops are always painted to achieve wargame standard, i.e. they look fine and they're playable on the table with no problems. And in terms of the little flags, which is say you buy from Bacchus, very straightforward really. I paint the flagpole in the colour I want, dab a little bit of super glue on it, cut the flag out. I normally Pritt stick all but the part that will be attached to the pole, and while that's sort of temporarily stuck, I then push the flag down over the pole onto the super glue, and that holds it all in place. And generally speaking, you end up with some quite nice effects on the different flags. So that is my Mahdist 6mm army. What I hope to do in a future video is bring you some of my British and colonial Egyptian troops, Sudanese troops, etc. The opposing forces to these. And I hope this has given you some inspiration to have a look into this really exciting period of wargaming. So many possibilities in so many scales. You don't have to do this in 6mm. A lot of people play in larger scales, 28mm downwards. But for me, the scale of the kind of forces involved, particularly for the tribesmen and the different factions, I think 6mm is really good fit for these kind of battles of the Victorian period. So, hope you've enjoyed the video. Keep rolling lucky, and I'll see you again next time.